Imagine having $350 billion at your disposal. Now picture spending all that money to aid a single country in its war efforts. Astonishing, isn't it? This is exactly what the United States did for Ukraine. In the context of international politics and warfare, financial aid often plays a pivotal role. The United States, being a global superpower, has made significant financial commitments to various nations over the years. However, one of the most staggering commitments has been its financial aid to Ukraine. The objective of this aid was clear from the get-go: to support Ukraine's efforts in its ongoing war with Russia. This war, which has been a significant point of contention in the region, has drawn attention and involvement from various global powers, with the United States at the forefront. The initial commitment made by the US was substantial, with an estimated $11 billion earmarked for weapons and equipment in a single year. However, this figure was just the tip of the iceberg. Over the years, the US has pumped in an astounding total of $67 billion in military aid to Ukraine. This figure, coupled with contributions from Europe and other countries, brings the total aid to Ukraine to a mind-boggling $350 billion. This financial aid has not just been a matter of writing checks. It has involved strategic planning, allocation of resources, and a constant evaluation of the war's progress. It's also important to note that this aid was not without controversy. There have been debates, criticisms, and even suspensions along the way. So the question arises, why has the United States invested so much in Ukraine's war? Let's delve into the history and progression of this aid. To comprehend the US's massive financial commitment, we need to travel back to the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The tension between Russia and Ukraine escalated into a full-blown war in 2014, drawing the attention of the world and notably the United States. The US saw a strategic interest in the region, with Ukraine serving as a bulwark against Russian expansion. In response to the conflict, the US administration, then led by President Barack Obama, initiated financial aid to Ukraine, marking the beginning of American involvement. This aid was not only to support Ukraine's economy, but also to bolster its military strength against Russia. The commitment was substantial, with the United States pledging $67 billion in military aid to Ukraine. The rationale behind this massive support was manifold. It was a strategic move to limit Russia's influence in Eastern Europe, a testament to the US commitment to uphold democracy and an effort to maintain the balance of power in the region. However, this financial aid was not without strings attached. It came with the expectation that Ukraine would push for reforms and strengthen its democratic institutions. Yet, as the war continued, the US involvement became more than just a financial commitment. The aid grew beyond mere dollars and cents, extending to military resources, including advanced weaponry. This was a clear sign of the US's intent to support Ukraine in its fight against Russia, even if it meant potentially escalating the conflict. However, this commitment was not without controversy. The decision to pause military aid under the Trump administration drew criticism from European allies and mixed reactions at home. The pause could potentially weaken Ukraine's warfighting abilities and strengthen Russia's position, a move that could have significant implications for the balance of power in the region. This marked the beginning of a long and costly journey for the US, with Ukraine at its center. As the conflict escalated, so did the US's involvement and spending. The stakes were high, and it was clear that Ukraine needed more than just financial assistance to combat the growing Russian threat. The US was ready to step in, bolstering its support with tangible military assets, ammunition, fighter jets, and tanks. Now, let's delve into the nitty-gritty. Ammunition, an essential component of any war, was among the first forms of tangible aid sent over. The US provided a variety of munitions, from small arms rounds to more specialized equipment, ensuring Ukraine's forces could continue to fight. But the US didn't stop there. As the war intensified, Ukraine's need for advanced weaponry became apparent. Enter the fighter jets. These high-speed, heavily armed aircraft significantly enhanced Ukraine's air capabilities, providing a much-needed boost in both offensive and defensive operations. And then there were the tanks. These formidable machines of war were critical in bolstering Ukraine's ground forces. With their thick armor and heavy firepower, tanks provided Ukraine with the muscle to resist Russian advances and hold their ground. The price tag for this increased military support was substantial. The US was now investing billions into Ukraine's defense, a notable escalation from the initial financial assistance. This period of the conflict saw the US's spending on Ukraine skyrocket, reflecting the urgency and gravity of the situation. However, this increase in spending was not without controversy. Critics questioned the wisdom of such a massive financial commitment, while others applauded the US's unwavering support for Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression. The US's commitment to Ukraine's cause seemed unwavering, but as with all things political, change was just around the corner. The landscape of international politics is forever shifting, and the US's support for Ukraine was about to face its own set of challenges. With the shift from the Obama to the Trump administration, the US's approach to aiding Ukraine underwent significant changes. Now let's delve into how these two administrations differed in their approach to the conflict. Under the watch of President Barack Obama, the US played a significant role in supporting Ukraine. This administration was known for its diplomatic approach, with a focus on economic sanctions against Russia, while also providing Ukraine with non-lethal aid such as medical supplies and protective equipment. The Obama administration also contributed a staggering amount of financial aid, with billions of dollars flowing into Ukraine to bolster its defense against Russian aggression. However, the transition to the Trump administration marked a noticeable shift in this approach. President Trump, known for his transactional style of leadership, brought a different perspective to the table. His administration was marked by a more isolationist stance, questioning the extent of US involvement in global conflicts. One of the most significant changes was the pause in military aid to Ukraine. This decision, which came after a heated argument with Ukrainian President Zelensky, had a significant impact on Ukraine's war-fighting abilities. The halt affected advanced weapons shipments, causing concern among European allies and drawing mixed reactions at home. This move was seen by some as a way to push Ukraine towards peace talks, while others saw it as a weakening of Ukraine's position. Despite the pause in aid, the Trump administration still provided substantial financial support to Ukraine. However, this support was often tied to specific requests, reflecting President Trump's business-like approach to foreign aid. In the end, the switch from Obama to Trump marked a significant shift in the US's approach to the Russia-Ukraine war. Each administration had its unique approach, with Obama favoring diplomacy and non-lethal aid, and Trump adopting a more transactional isolationist stance. Trump's tenure brought with it a pause in aid, but this was not the end of the US's involvement in Ukraine's war. With Biden stepping into office, the US's stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict took another turn. The Biden administration took a different approach, highlighting a renewed commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. This commitment was not just in words, but also in action, as the US resumed its aid to Ukraine, which had been temporarily halted under the previous administration. The Biden administration's approach was marked by a clear promise of NATO membership for Ukraine, a prospect that had significant implications for both Ukraine and the US. This promise was seen as a strong deterrence against Russian aggression, an assertion of the US's commitment to Ukraine, and a signal of the Biden administration's intent to maintain the US's global leadership role. The promise of NATO membership for Ukraine was not without its impact on the US's spending. The commitment to Ukraine's defense and the prospect of its NATO membership meant that the US was poised to continue its financial support for Ukraine. This support, however, wasn't just about supplying ammunition, fighter jets, and tanks. It was also about building Ukraine's capacity to defend itself, strengthening its institutions, and supporting its democratic reforms. The resumption of aid under the Biden administration translated into a significant increase in the US's spending on Ukraine's war. This spending, while substantial, was seen by many as a necessary investment in the global order and a strategic move to counter Russian aggression. However, the promise of NATO membership for Ukraine also opened up a new set of challenges, including potential opposition from other NATO members and the risk of escalating tensions with Russia. These challenges, coupled with the significant financial commitment, brought the US's Ukraine policy under intense scrutiny. As we stand today, the US has spent a staggering $350 billion on Ukraine's war. The toll of the war and the future of US aid to Ukraine remain topics of intense debate.